Once upon a time in the heart of Morocco, where the old met the new and secrets whispered through bustling bazaars, there lived a young woman named Layla. She wasn't born with a silver spoon in her mouth, far from it. Her life was a mosaic of hardships, each piece fitting uncomfortably with the next. Despite being barely 20, life had dealt her a heavy hand. She had known more loss and sorrow than many do in an entire lifetime. But through it all, one constant remained, her indomitable spirit, a burning ember of hope that refused to be extinguished. In the vibrant town of Fez, nestled between ancient walls and brimming with life, she was a familiar face. Most knew her as the girl with the copper bracelet, a relic from her past, the only tangible memory she had of her mother. Each evening, under the cloak of twilight, she transformed into a spirited trader, peddling dates and figs in the marketplace. It was there, amidst the labyrinthine stalls and the chatter of haggling customers, that she crossed paths with him, Karim, the epitome of wealth and arrogance. He was a man whose veins ran thick with the blood of privilege, a nobleman who saw Layla not as a fellow human being, but as an annoyance, a mere speck of dust beneath his aristocratic shoe. He would sneer at her, his words dripping with condescension. "Patience, my little sparrow, will not feed you. You should marry for survival, not dream of freedom." His words were like stones hurled at her spirit, yet they couldn't break it. She would look back at him, her eyes blazing with defiance, and say, "Hope is stronger than hunger." This became their strange dance, a twisted game of cat and mouse where Layla was the prey and Karim, the relentless hunter. But fate, they say, has a peculiar sense of humor. What goes around comes around. And it was on one such ordinary evening that fate decided to turn the tables. Layla, on her way back from the market, hurried through the winding alleyways. The sky rumbled with an impending storm, and the wind seemed to carry secrets in its whispers. Suddenly, her eyes popped wide with shock. In front of her stood Karim, the very picture of panic, his hands stained with gold, attempting to pry open the strongbox of the Sultan's treasury. The sight was like a punch to her gut, turning her world upside down. Here was the man who mocked her, reduced to a desperate thief in the shadows. For a moment, she was torn between fear and triumph. To expose him would mean risking her own safety, for he was powerful and merciless. Yet here was a chance to turn the tables, to make him face the consequences of his actions. In the end, her sense of justice, a virtue honed by years of living on the edge, won out. She picked up a stone and hurled it through the window, shattering the glass and announcing his crime to the wind. When Karim saw her, his eyes widened in disbelief and then narrowed with menace. He lunged at her, his hand clutching her arm like a vice. "Don't breathe a word, girl, or you'll join me in the gallows." His voice was low and dangerous, a predator threatening its prey. Fear threatened to consume her, but she stood firm, her gaze locked onto his. "Why are you stealing, Karim?" she asked, her voice echoing in the narrow space. His grip tightened, his features contorted with a mixture of anger and desperation. "I have no choice," he hissed. "If they discover I'm in debt, my title will be stripped away and my life will be forfeit. I must have the gold." His words dripped with despair, offering a glimpse into the pressures that drove him to such desperate measures. In the ensuing moments, a battle of wills ensued, a struggle between the desperation of a drowning man and the burgeoning courage of a young woman who had known nothing but hardship. Layla found herself in a terrifying game of cat and mouse, pursued by the wrath of a cornered animal who had nothing left to lose. She raced through the labyrinthine streets of Fez, the rhythmic pounding of her feet against the ancient stones, a haunting melody of fear. Behind her, the angry shouts of Karim echoed, a testament to the danger she had incurred. The thought of his vengeful retribution spurred her on, pushing her to run faster, to evade his clutches. She dodged between stalls laden with spices and silks, the exotic aromas mingling with the metallic scent of fear. The bustling marketplace, once a hub of lively commerce, now transformed into a menacing labyrinth, each shadow seeming to conceal a threat. With every twisting turn, the enormity of her situation crashed down on her. She was not just running for herself, but for the hope of a future that seemed increasingly bleak. Then, as abruptly as it started, it ended. She slipped into a narrow passageway, collapsing against the cool stone wall, her breath ragged, her heart pounding a frantic tattoo against her ribs. In the stifling darkness, she dared not move, not knowing if she was being pursued. The silence, broken only by the distant murmur of the city, was deafening. Then a soft light filtered through a crack in the wall, revealing a small, dusty room. It was a forgotten storeroom, a silent witness to countless seasons, untouched by the bustling life of the city. Within its four walls, Lila found refuge, or so she thought. For she soon realized that her pursuer had found this sanctuary too. The door creaked open and Karim stepped in, his face ashen, his eyes blazing with an eerie light. "You can't hide forever, Lila," he said, his voice echoing strangely in the confined space. "Give me one good reason why I shouldn't end you right here, right now." The question hung in the air, heavy with menace, daring her to defy him. But Lila, summoning a strength she didn't know she possessed, stood her ground. "Because," she said, her voice surprisingly steady, "you're a coward, and besides, the night is far from over." Her words were like a lit match thrown into a powder keg. The fury on Karim's face was terrifying, yet there was a hint of something else, a flicker of fear that gave Lila a sliver of hope. In the suffocating darkness, with the weight of the night pressing down on them, the two strangers found themselves bound by a single fragile thread, the precarious balance of power. They were trapped in a silent battle of wills, where every breath, every heartbeat was a testament to their desperate struggle for dominance. But as the night deepened, so did the tension. The air grew thick with anticipation, charged with the promise of a confrontation that neither of them could escape. Lila drew strength from her past, from the years of hardship that had tempered her spirit. And in that moment, she realized that her life, though marked by struggles, had been a preparation for this very moment. As dawn approached, casting an ethereal glow through the cracks in the walls, the stalemate continued. Neither Lila nor Karim made a move, both lost in their own maelstrom of thoughts. The impending arrival of daylight was a ticking clock, forcing them to make a decision that would alter their lives forever. And when the first rays of sun touched the horizon, it was Lila who made the first move. With a newfound sense of purpose, she stepped forward, her eyes blazing with determination. In that instant, the scales tipped, and Lila found herself at the center of a maelstrom of events that would change her destiny. The days that followed were like a whirlwind. The revelation of Karim's crimes sent shockwaves through the city of Fez, shaking it to its core. The proud nobleman was dragged through the streets, his head held high, but his steps faltering under the weight of 1,000 accusing eyes. His vault was ransacked, revealing the extent of his greed, and his reputation, once as solid as gold, was reduced to ashes by the winds of rumor. But amidst the chaos, Lila emerged as an unlikely hero. Her act of defiance against Karim, a single spark in the overwhelming darkness, had ignited a fire that consumed the deceitful nobleman and illuminated the path towards justice for the downtrodden. In the aftermath of the scandal, Lila was bestowed with a gift more valuable than gold, the respect and admiration of her people. The Sultan, moved by her bravery, renamed her the Dawn of Fez, a title that resonated through the ages, symbolizing hope in the face of adversity. Yet for Lila, the true reward was the transformation she witnessed in the city. the stolen gold that had been hidden in Karim's vault now distributed among the starving families, bringing relief to their suffering hearts. And as the city celebrated her heroism, she stood quietly, her heart full, realizing that sometimes the greatest victories are not measured in material wealth, but in the restoration of hope and faith in humanity. As the years rolled by, the legend of Lila, the dawn of Fez, became a beacon of inspiration, a reminder for the oppressed that even in the darkest of nights, hope can emerge like the first rays of dawn. And so the tale is told and retold, keeping alive the spirit of the girl with the copper bracelet, who dared to stand up against tyranny, reminding every listener that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph of hope over despair. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this story, please let me know by giving us a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for notifications so you won't miss any of our amazing stories. See you next time.